everyone, and welcome to episode 55 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather, and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, up here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. This is my podcast where I talk all about my knitting and a little bit of crochet, everything I am working on. I love to share with you. I also love to feature amazing makers, whether they are designers, yarn dyers, or makers of any kind of accessory that we use in our fiber craft. I always love to feature anyone who is adding to the beauty of our fiber community. If you are a new viewer, welcome. I'm so happy you found me, and I hope you enjoy yourself. And if you are a returning viewer, a big thank you. I really appreciate you coming back. If you would like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to start communicating with you there. Any of the yarn or patterns or accessories I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. Today is Sunday, February 5th, 2023, and I have a lot to share with you, so let's get started. Today I am wearing my Simply Scrappy Cowl. I made this past December for one of my Advent projects. This is a beautiful kind of eyelet cowl by Helen Stewart, The Curious Handmade, and I knit this out of an Advent swap from a friend of mine, Kat, in the Love and Stitches membership. It's a very quick, easy cowl in the round. She came out with this pattern this past November, I believe, before she put out her Knit Vent collection. And it's the perfect size cowl. I did lightly block this, and it's so comfortable. The perfect size for me. I did use all 25 colors that she gave me with a small stripe in each color, and I love so much how it turned out. This was a very fun knit. I highly recommend it if you have some scraps or a whole advent calendar that you're looking for something to do with a little bit of this. It doesn't take very much of each color, so this is definitely a good starting point or a good project to use up just maybe 4 or 5 grams of scraps. This is the Simply Scrappy Cowl by Helen Stewart, The Curious Handmade. Next, I'd like to tell you about a little bit of happy mail, an acquisition. Now, this is very old, but as I mentioned in my last podcast, I am trying to go through and showcase all of the yarn that I have acquired pretty much in this last year now. Some of the yarn I have to talk about does date back to about April or May of 2022, but that's okay. I still think it deserves to be shown off. So today I'd like to tell you about the last installment of the Witches and Wizards Club I received from Donna of Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. This colorway is called Nagini. Lots of different tones of bright blues. Absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to see how this will knit up. Here is her card. Very nice blue color. I think this will definitely be a pair of socks. I'm not quite sure if I will want to do a fingering weight or if I want to hold this double to make a pair of DK socks. Stay tuned, I'll have to figure that out. Check out Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. She has beautiful yarn in her shop and lots of different fun clubs and themes throughout the year. Now on to my finished objects. I only have 2 to tell you about this time. The first is my January Desert Vista Dye Works socks for her 9th annual monthly sock club. Here they are. This colorway is called Convo Me, inspired by the Conversation Candy Hearts around Valentine's Day. There's a lovely stripe out of each of those colors that the candies come in. The pattern I did is called The Shallow by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. It's a very simple knit and purl based, almost looks like a basket weave. Here's a little bit of a better shot of the pattern itself. Really had a fun time doing this, and it knit up very quickly, I found. I think this pattern does look nice with self-striping yarn, but I would definitely try it with a tonal or very lightly speckled yarn as well. I think it would be pretty fantastic. I did these one at a time, cuff down. I did 18 rounds of a twisted rib that she calls for in the pattern, worked down the leg and the foot just with the pattern across the front of the sock, and then I did an afterthought heel. They do not perfectly match, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And I think they're so fun. I cannot wait to start wearing these. I think my kindergartners will really like them if I wear them to school on Valentine's Day. So I'll have to have these ready to wear them on Valentine's Day. This is the Shallow Socks by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Convo Me by Desert Vista Dye Works. My last finished object I have to show you, I don't actually have here, but I will insert a picture. I did a basic ribbed baby hat by Heather Tucker. One of my coworkers just became a grandma for the first time, and so I knit her little grandson a ribbed baby beanie out of a blue colorway from Peter Pan in their sort of baby DK base. And it turned out really cute. It's just a simple 2x2 rib all the way up. And then she does give you some specific directions for the crown decreases. I used some 12-inch circular needles in size US 6 for most of the hat. And then I did switch to DPNs for the crown decreases. And it is really a fun hat. I think it will quickly become one of my go-to basic baby beanies for anybody I know who is having a baby. It knit up really quickly. I did the 6th month size, and she actually sent me a picture of her grandson wearing it, and it looked really adorable on him. And so hopefully he can wear it for a nice long time. With it being ribbed, it is definitely very stretchy, so that makes it another good option for babies if you're kind of wondering about what size to make or how stretchy it's going to be. Anything with ribbing is going to be a good option. Check out the basic ribbed baby hat by Heather Tucker. Now on to my works in progress. First, I'd like to tell you about my February Desert Vista Dye Works socks for her 9th annual monthly sock club. I have them in my sock monkey bag from MLD Threads on Etsy. And then I have my lizard Desert Vista Dye Works button, and then my brand new Desert Vista Dye Works button from her 2022 prize pack with a coyote on it. Super fun. Here are my socks so far. I'm doing these 2 at a time, toe up. I started with a wedge toe. This Progress Keeper is also a coyote that came with the 2022 prize pack for completing her sock club last year. This is just a plain vanilla sock. I will continue knitting up the foot and leg, making a giant tube, and then mark for my afterthought heel. I think I will insert an afterthought heel. Here is what the yarn looks like. This colorway is called the rarest of them all. Just got a pretty blue, purple, and green. I am using this purple mini for the toes, heels, and cuffs that I thought matched the purple stripe really nicely. This mini is from her February 2019 mini collection. And I thought they went really nicely together, so I've been saving this one to use with this yarn. I've been able to make some really good progress on these socks so far. I am using a 40-inch Chow Goo red lace needle. I do prefer 40 inches for the cord to do 2 at a time. It will be a lot of fun to continue watching these work up. We'll see when I get my foot long enough where the stripe is going to end, where I'll have to cut in my afterthought heel, but I will make it work out somehow. These stripes are matching. I did start the yarn at the same spot. With using the contrast toe, I thought I should probably make them look as nice as possible by starting at the same spot in the yarn. So I did start with this green stripe. Now I just need to continue happily knitting up these socks. This is a plain vanilla sock, knit 2 at a time, toe up, knit up in Desert Vista Dye Works in the colorway The Rarest of Them All, with a purple mini from her February 2019 collection. My next work in progress remains a half-finished object. I showed this first sock last time. These are my Winterberry socks. I have them in my cute polka dot bag by the Lakeside with the tassel zipper pull. Love it. And I've made a little bit of progress on the second sock. I'm using 9-inch circulars for these. And this cute cinnamon roll progress keeper is from Sweet Cherry on Etsy. This marks where I started last time. So since last podcast, I've done a couple inches. The pattern I'm using is called the Times Square Socks by Mina Phillip, the Knitting Expat. And it's a very beautiful kind of twisted faux cable stitch knit across the front. And then the back is just plain stockinette. I did 4 rounds of the contrasting color for the cuff and then finished for a total of 15 rounds with the main color. This is the Winterberry sock set by Sweet Mountain Crafts. Here's the main color and then this pretty mini that's kind of speckled to go with it. I will eventually do another stockinette German short row heel and then a rounded toe. As I continue knitting down the foot, I have a few more repeats down the leg before I do the heel, but I'm making decent progress and I'm still enjoying working on this. Hopefully I will have the second sock done this month. Here's one more closer look at it. If you're looking for a very pretty design that would look good on just about any type of yarn, honestly, I think. This is very pretty much solid, lightly tonal, and the design really popped. But I did this pattern on kind of a more speckled yarn before, and it looks really good too. It'd be interesting to try this pattern with some self-striping yarn in the future. I might have to put that in my list of plans. This is the Times Square sock by Mina Phillip, the Knitting Expat, knit up in the Winterberry sock set by Sweet Mountain Crafts. My next work in progress I'd like to tell you about is also a half-finished object. I just finished the first sock recently. This is the Vanilla Sock on Magic Loop pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. And I'm knitting these for a friend. I did 15 rounds down the cuff of 2x2 ribbing, only 20 rounds down the leg. I did the slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and worked down the foot before I got to the rounded toe. I wanted these to not be too long, kind of a sort of shorty size pair for her. My second sock is well on its way. I just finished the cuff. So I did all 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. This cute teapot progress keeper is from Knitty Witch on Etsy. So now I'm ready to knit down the leg for this sock. Here's what the yarn looks like in the cake. This is called Bougie New Year, and it was the January 2021 Yarnable colorway from Hypnotic Yarn. And I have this project in my scrappy thread bag. Very pretty. And I'm super excited to be knitting my first pair of socks for this particular friend. I hope she loves them and that they fit her really nicely and that I can hopefully knit a lot more socks for her in the future. This is a pair of vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Bougie New Year by Hypnotic Yarn from her January 2021 Yarnable box. My next project, I was hoping to have a little bit more progress to show you, but that's okay. Some other things kind of came up in my knitting life. So I did make a few inches of progress on these. This is my pair of socks in the colorway Tarts and Vickers by Must Stash Yarn. I'm using my Knitter's Pride Dreams 40-inch circulars for 2 at a time. Toe up. My usual recipe, I did a wedge toe, and I'm currently knitting up the foot. This chocolate cake progress keeper is from Susie J on Etsy. And I have this in a project bag from Lolo Did It. I was hoping to have these done closer to Valentine's Day, but I don't think that's quite going to happen. But I will still maybe set a goal of finishing these in February. All these pretty Valentine's-y colors. I do believe this is one of her Valentine's colorways that she has on sale this time of year. I bought this a couple years ago and I'm excited to be finally knitting it up. This is a perfect match set, so the yarn actually was already split into 2 50-gram half skeins, and so I just needed to start the yarn at the same end, which I did, and they are matching up very nicely. I am attempting to keep these matching as best I can as well. I am still debating if I want to do a fish lips kiss heel or if I want to do an afterthought heel, so stay tuned as I make my mind up about that. I do still have a couple more inches before I get to where I need to make that decision and either start a fish lips kiss heel or mark for an afterthought heel. This is a pair of vanilla socks knit 2 at a time, toe up, in the colorway Tarts and Vickers by Must Stash Yarn. Next, I'd like to tell you about a brand new cast on. Since last time we talked, I decided to cast on a pair of DK socks for another friend of mine. I think she will really, really like them. I have them in this sheep project bag from April 9 Designs on Etsy. And this cute little sheep progress keeper is from Bump on a Hill on Etsy, and I'm using it as a zipper pull. I am actually almost done with this first sock. I reached the toe. I'm using the DK Weight Vanilla Sock Pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. I did 10 rounds of a 2x2 rib. I think I did 20 rounds down the leg, and I did about 30 rounds down the foot. I am ready to close up the toe. This particular friend has some pretty tiny little feet, so these knit up in no time. I also cast on for the size small, which really flies. This Waffles Progress Keeper is from Simply Serving on Etsy. I'm using a 40-inch size 3 Chow-Goo red lace needle. What I'm actually doing is holding fingering weight double to get a DK size sock. This colorway is called Burning Day, and it is from Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. This was another colorway from her Witches and Wizards club last year, in reference, of course, to Fox the Phoenix and his Burning Day. I'm actually pulling from the inside and outside, which I know is a little risky, but it's working out fairly nicely so far. It is kind of fun to hold yarn double, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to knit up, but I'm very pleased with the fabric it's creating and how the different speckles are dispersing. There's really no major pooling. It's just looking very, very nice. So I'm hoping that she loves these. Again, I'm hoping that they fit her. This is the first pair of socks for this friend that I have ever knit her as well. So I'm really, really hoping that she loves them. And of course, I'll be making notes as I gift both of my gift socks for how I might make adjustments in the future. This is the DK Weight Vanilla Sock Pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Burning Day by Crystal Skies Hand Dyed. My next work in progress to tell you about is my Musselburgh hat. This is a pattern by Isolde Teague. And I've made quite a bit of progress, as you can see from this donut stitch marker. by Sweet Cherry on Etsy. This is actually turning out to be my social knitting project. I've had the pleasure of meeting 2 friends in the last couple weeks that live locally to me from the Love and Stitches membership. I got to meet Jessica a couple weeks ago, which was lovely, and Bethany just yesterday, which was also simply wonderful. It was really cool to be able to meet and just sit and chat with these girls at a Starbucks and knit away around and around on my Musselburgh. This pattern starts with very few stitches, and then you increase to the correct amount for the size that you're knitting, and then you keep knitting and knitting and knitting until it's almost double long, because what you end up doing is you decrease at the top and then you kind of shove one end into the other to make the hat double thick. Now, I did notice with my friend Bethany yesterday that I have a little bit of a hole. I think I accidentally did a yarn over, but I compensated by knitting 2 together a couple rounds later, and really, it doesn't bother me. This hat is just for me, and this side can be the side that gets folded up into the inside. So I'm really not worried about it. I don't feel like undoing like 3 inches worth of stockinette just to fix a yarn over. It's still structurally sound. It wasn't a dropped stitch or anything, so I'm gonna just keep going with it. So I'm about halfway through, I would say, and then I will decrease at the top. I do plan on kind of using as much of this yarn as possible. This yarn is from Yarnable by Hypnotic Yarn as well. This was her June 2022 colorway called Born to Stand Out on her Plush Sock 8515 base. And I'm really loving how all the speckles are knitting up. It's very, very pretty. This is the Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague, knit up in Born to Stand Out by Hypnotic Yarn from her June 2022 Yarnable box. Next, I am so pleased to be able to show you lots of progress on my first sleeve of my flax. This is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I finished the body, and I have done about half of the sleeve since last time I talked to you. This is still the first sleeve, but I feel like I know what I'm doing now for the second sleeve. So the second sleeve should go quite a bit quicker. As you can see, I've got a million stitch markers. All of the white ones mark every 10 rounds, so I know how many total rounds I'm doing. And then all of the red represent the round I did a decrease for the sleeve. And I'm glad I did that. I was debating if I wanted to do sleeve decreases or just do a rapid decrease at the end, but I'm glad I followed the pattern. I thought I should probably really work on my sweater knitting skills and actually follow the pattern, since this is really my first official sweater. It does have this beautiful garter detail down the sleeve. And so I have knit up the correct number of decreases for my size, and now I am ready to switch to a smaller needle to do about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of ribbing. That is all I have left on this first sleeve, and then I will pick up stitches for the second sleeve. Now I'm really excited because I have been using these 12-inch Chow Goo for the whole entire sleeve, and they still fit. I was kind of worried that I would need to switch to DPNs or Magic Loop, which would have been fine, but I do love knitting in the round, just around and around with the circular for something like this. And I don't have a 9-inch in this needle size, so I was really, really glad when I discovered last night as I was knitting on this that I was able to just keep using this needle. The yarn I'm using is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the colorway Noble Heather. This is the non-superwash version of this yarn, so I definitely will hand wash this. And I have it in my cable bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags. That has been really nice to keep this sweater in this whole time. So I'm very, very close. I'm excited to have this so close to being done. I'm very excited to be nearing the end of this project. Hopefully I can get it done in time to be able to wear it while the weather is still relatively cold. So again, here is the first sleeve. I just need to do the ribbing. And then here is where I will pick up for the second sleeve. If you haven't tried the flax, it really is a very good beginning pattern for a beginning sweater knitter like myself. This is the Flax by Tin Can Knits, knit up in Wool of the Andes by Knit Picks in the colorway Noble Heather. This episode I have definitely saved the best for last. I'm very excited to share with you that I am doing my very first test knit for my friend Grace, who is also in the Love and Stitches membership. She asked me if I would test knit this shawl for her, and I was very thrilled to be able to do so. So a couple of the shawls that I was showing last podcast have been put a little bit on the back burner so that I can get this done for her, and I'm very happy to be able to do that. This is a new design by Grace May Designs, who is an up-and-coming designer, super talented. She's got a lot of cute patterns out already, and I know that she is working on a few more right as we speak. Keep an eye on her. She's going to have lots of good stuff for us in the future. So I don't want to give too many details, but she did give me permission to show this. It is a triangle shawl using 3 colors. And it basically goes from different sections of stockinette to a textured section, another stockinette section, more texture with a different stitch. And then I have a few more sections left to do. I am really loving this so far. I'm loving the color combination I chose. This shawl has a main color and 2 contrasting colors. The main color I'm using is Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy, which is 100% Blue Face Leicester, in the colorway Blue Ink. This was actually gifted to me by my friend Jordan, who also gave me this Boston Progress Keeper with it, so I decided to use that as my Progress Keeper so I can think of her, especially when I am using the blue. This is Blue Ink by Leading Men Fiber Arts, and then my contrasting colors are both from Hazel Knits, who is a local to me dyer in Seattle. This creamy color is called Husk, and this really pretty coppery color is called Henna. I am using this really cute sloth bag by Quilt Knit Craft on Etsy, and I have a little sloth Progress Keeper from Simply Serving that I'm using as a zipper pull. This has been an absolute pleasure to knit for. I hope I get the opportunity to test more patterns for Grace in the future. And I can't wait to see how this turns out. Check out her ever-growing collection of patterns at Grace May Designs on Ravelry. She definitely is a designer to keep your eye on. Well, I think that's about all I have for you this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Please consider subscribing and giving this video a like. That would really help me out a lot. As always, I love to hear your feedback or any suggestions or questions you have about the podcast. You are more than welcome to leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. Until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.